Hello everyone, this is Malice with another race report for the Nebula Racing League, and we'll jump right in. So as you can see, we have the start grid showing right here. Accelerator starts on first position, Glitter's Maximus is on second, Pixels is on third, and I'm on fourth. Behind me is Disperse and Amber, Ryox my teammate, and Theo and Linus coming in seventh, I think. Sorry about the guys who I missed, but the race is almost a week ago and kind of forgot who started where. So this is our fourth race in the Nebula Racing League. We're driving at Silverstone right now in Great Britain. And as you can see, I qualified on prime tires as I usually try and do. Glitter's Maximus is the car ahead of me, who is also qualified on primes. The number 1 and number 3 driver qualified on option tires, so they will be faster than me. So my first goal should be to try and get ahead of Glitter's Maximus as soon as possible. If not, at least stick with him for as long as possible. He's a very fast driver as well. He's new to the racing league, so I have to keep an eye on him. While still managing to keep an eye on the other cars as well, because Silverstone, it's a very tricky first set of corners. Especially the first one is high speed, so people usually get through it okay. But the second one, it's so easy to lock up your brakes, and there is room to make evasive maneuvers, but still there's usually some sort of contact, even when drivers are paying attention to each other. So heading out to the start grid, I was amazed to find we had both a dry qualification and a dry race. I really had prepared some I did some practice on wet tires just to be sure, but well, a dry race at Silverstone. Well, I like dry races. Don't mind getting a bit of rain now and then, but yeah, I was feeling more like a dry race today. So we're on the starting grid. Glitter's Maximus is ahead of me. I'm on the bad side of the track to start on. 5 lights, and the lights go out. There we go. As usual, I have a crappy start. It's no surprise to me. Everybody knows that I lose positions at the start. So there we go. We have already Ryox taking a peek on the inside, but I block him off. And a 3-way battle in front of me. I didn't really know which side to pick. Look at that. Everybody getting through it okay, getting a little bump from behind. Same here, I think I get a little bump because I had some issues slowing the car down. Thought I was ahead, but then I see the cars to the left of me passing by, which was not good at all. But then again, Ryox still behind me, still maintaining my 4th position, and Glitter's Maximus still in front of me. So he actually lost out on a position, I think, so that's good news. Almost managing to take the outside line on him, but he blocks it off really well. Tricky corner, that one. You have to be really patient, if not you'll spin out if you get on the corner too soon, or you'll hit the dirt. So it seems like everyone made it through the first set of corners okay, as we're coming up to a nice set of corners. It's really tricky. If you don't know how to choose your racing line here, you're going to be in trouble. Oh, Glitter's Maximus slowing down. So I did the practice on. I did do some practice on a 50% fuel load before the race, so I knew where to brake and how the car would handle. I was under the impression Glitter's Maximus didn't practice on 50% fuel load before the start of the race, because he didn't seem to know where to brake really well during the first 2 corners. And after the first few, first few laps, of course. After the first few laps, he got it under control really well. So I think he might have underestimated how the car handled under a heavy fuel load. Still, it's the accelerator pulling away a bit from the Spurs, and then Glitter's and myself are really close behind the Spurs. So accelerator was really fast during the qualification, and again he's on option tires, so it's no surprise he's able to take the lead and maintain it. As you can see, the car is ahead of me and take a different racing line through that corner. And the Spurs goes wide, and both Glitter's Maximus and I take advantage of that and slip through on the inside. I'm really close to Glitter's right now, as I get a better line through this corner. And this is our accident. Yeah, that's where we had our accident. So what you'll see, I got a penalty for this, which to me at the time, and I'm still convinced of it, was complete rubbish. So basically I have some time to explain what happened. I was on on Glitier's gearbox, and he went a little wide through what I think is Cops corner. I think it's called Cops, yeah. So he went off the track and he hit the grass on the left side. And I think with both of us having no traction control, when you're on the throttle in the high speed turn and you go off track and then you hit the grass, it's easy to spin out. And if I did some replays after the race in slow motion, and you can clearly see as soon as he hits the grass, he spins to the right, comes back on track right in front of me, and I have just no way of defending against it, and I hit the back of his car. So in my opinion, that penalty was not exactly worth giving. And I can tell you this, after the race it will be decided that the penalty will be negated. So those 10 seconds I lose in the penalty will actually, they actually won't matter. Which I think is fair, after all. There's no way I could have avoided a car spinning out on track. I also read Glitier's Maximus post on the forum afterwards. He said that during the race he was convinced that I hit him from behind and that I caused him to spin out. Which could be the case, of course. I'm prone to make mistakes as well, but then I definitely wouldn't have continued my race. I would have backed out of it and let him pass again. But at the time of the accident, I was convinced that I didn't cause an accident. I was close to him, but not close enough to cause a spin out, and there wasn't any contact. So if anything, I felt I was at disadvantage, and I was quite afraid I would get a drive-through penalty that would just have ruined my race completely. And again, a 10-second penalty it's okay to live with, especially if it's being negated after the race. So yeah, it's a racing incident, I guess, and I was very lucky to not get a drive-through penalty. That's most important. And even more important, I didn't lose my front wing in the accident. So continuing on, as we see, Ryox has managed to take third position behind me, but there's quite a heavy gap between accelerator myself, and Ryox behind me. So pulling away a bit from the cars behind. I don't know at this stage of the race where Glitier's Maximus ended up or what happened to the Spurs, so I'll have to review their videos to be sure what happened. But you can see I'm putting down some fastest lap right now. I'm not really pushing. I had the normal fuel at the start. I have +4 laps remaining, and after the start I switched back to back to normal fuel mode. But still, I'm very slowly but surely closing the gap to Accelerator, which is very good because he's on the option tires. He should be faster than me. Accelerator, who is Sander, I believe, during the Sander Odd Beach, during the other race. So if I can, I'm not even trying to close the gap. If I get close to him, that's a bonus, and I can take advantage of this slipstream and DRS. But at this stage, I'm not even trying to close the gap too hard. I'm just trying to nail down my lap times. So you can see lap time, the gap between our cars hovering between 1.6, 1.8, 2 seconds, going up and down a bit. Not really closing the gap, not really losing time either. The thing is, I was thinking to myself, if I can maintain the gap, then it's fine, and I know I'm doing great. If I'm just as fast as the guy on the option tires with me driving on primes, then I'm doing fine. If I can close the gap, then hey, that's a bonus. And if I can keep on driving at 2 seconds, 2 seconds is really close. It's very hard not to notice the yellow dot right behind you on the racing track in the minimap on the bottom left. So if I can keep really close to Accelerator, then maybe he'll make a mistake. Maybe he'll get nervous and make a little mistake somewhere, which will allow me to get closer or even ahead of him. So that was what I was thinking at the moment. So you see the gap closing down to 1.7. It's a little bit closer, and you see he'll had a bit of a wheel spin at the exit of that turn. As I told you before, very tricky turn. It takes a long time to get through it, and you're very anxiously trying to get onto the throttle, but you can't overdo it. Do it too early and you will spin out or hit the dirt when you go wide. Do it too late and you lose a lot of time, so it's a tricky corner. I have a better racing line to this corner, which allows me to get much closer to Accelerator. Look at that, I almost gained a second in that sector alone. So I'm now in the slipstream. And now I'm really comfortable. Now I know I can stick close to him unless I make a mistake. And yeah, he's already trying to keep a defensive line. Maybe that was a bit too soon because there was no way on earth I would have gone for that overtaking opportunity. But I am going to put the pressure on him. You'll see me go right. Yeah, there we go. Always try and put pressure on the car in front of you. Even if you don't want to overtake, even if that's not the general idea, put pressure on him. He'll sooner or later he'll make mistakes. I make mistakes when people put pressure on me, so. Matthias behind us is managed to overtake Ryox and is back in third position. Yeah, if he really thought during the race that I had caused the accident, then he would have been very pissed off. But if you're by any chance watching this or listening to this, Lucius Maximus, trust me, I would never do something intentionally. And if something happens, I would back off out of it and give you back the position. So. Yeah, so you see me trying to switch to the lean fuel mode, trying to save up some fuel. Maybe I can keep, maybe the slipstream and DRS can keep me close enough to accelerator, and every bit of fuel you can save is a bit of fuel you can use during the last part of the rage. Not the rage. Why the rage? There's no rage in Formula 1. The last part of the race. So you see me on the straight, switching back to the lean fuel mode. So far a good race for me. Didn't make any mistakes so far, except for the incident with Gutierrez I couldn't avoid. Going a bit on the grass there. That's annoying because people underestimate it. They take the first corner full speed and they might go on the grass and they think it's okay, but it actually, as accelerator has a bit of wheel spin, that actually gives you disadvantage, and it's easy to lock up your brakes and miss your corner in the second turn. I think this is where I make my move on accelerator for the first time. Yeah, there we go. And I think this is a great overtaking maneuver, if I say so myself. I go to the right side, accelerator tries, I go to the left side, accelerator goes offensive, and as soon as I see he goes to the left to make his defensive move, I can switch back to the right side again. He notices he's being played, goes back to the right, tries to cut me off, but has to leave some space, and because I brake a bit early, I don't lose my front wing to hit the back of his car, and it just only barely make it through that corner alive. If you have any time to do so, please go back and watch the replay of that, because I think it's an absolutely amazing overtaking maneuver. Not just by myself, but I mean by accelerator as well. He does the right thing going defensive, then he tries to block off the path I try to take, and it's only because two drivers respect each other that we don't hit each other, I think. Because if I went full out during that corner and I didn't back out of it just a little, I would have hit him. He probably would have spun out. I would have gotten another penalty, rightfully so this time. And yeah, that wouldn't have been a good thing. So I got ahead of accelerator. At this stage I'm not quite sure what on earth I'm going to have to do, because he's obviously he's got better tires, so, and now I've lost my slipstream and DRS right now. But he's fallen back a bit after that maneuver we tried out, so he doesn't get the DRS right now. So at this point I'm even considering switching back to lean fuel mode. But then I see the gap going back down to 1 second, and I don't want to risk fighting accelerator, because that'll lose both of us a lot of time. So I think I switch back to just stick with the standard fuel mode and try and keep him at a second or so. I know I have the advantage during this sector because I seem to have a better racing line, or a faster racing line. There's a bit of curbs you can cut off, not too much. As always, I try and keep 2 wheels on the track at all times, which means 2 wheels to the right or left of the white racing line, marking the edges of the racetrack. Not always easy to do so. So accelerator closing in to 0.7 seconds, which means he'll have DRS. as we're 9 laps into the race. You can see Gutierrez in the meantime, as I go on the grass again, is also pulling away from the other guys, and he's closing the gap to Miles and Sander. It should be to myself and Sander, of course. I'm now the, for those who haven't seen it yet, I'm now also the co-host of the Supernova show, which is the show on the race events we have. And we've had an agreement that both Pixels and myself talk about ourselves in third person, so as to not take positions on, we're trying to be as objective as possible. As I turn in too soon, get a bit of grass on my front right. It won't affect my my set of corners here too much. I take a bit of too much of speed in that turn, but still get out of it quite okay. I think accelerator behind me made a bit of a mistake because it was 0.7 behind me. Now he's 1.2 seconds behind me, so half a second. That's probably a missed corner or a bit of wheel spin. So you'll see that I have a pit stop scheduled at lap 16, and then I'll have 10 laps on option tires, which means that in a round, during this lap, the cars on options will probably be coming in for prime tires. So I don't have to worry about Sander behind me too much. I know even if he gets ahead of me, he'll have to pit pretty soon, and I wouldn't even fight him. I would if he had the rundown on me on a straight, I would go defensive a bit. But I wouldn't push too hard to keep him behind me. It's not worth it. Keeping people behind you at all costs is just bad idea. It's just a bad idea because you'll both lose time. So I get another wheel on the grass. I didn't have a lot of wheel spin. I was sure I would have maybe made a few mistakes with the throttle, but I had pretty good throttle input, throttle control during this race. Most of my problems were with either oversteer or understeer. Same thing again here, going a bit wide. So the race is almost a week ago. I'm not quite sure if Sander is coming in right now into the pits. You can see Gutierrez Maximus is closing in behind him, so I think there's about a gap of, yeah, let's take a look at that, 3 seconds and a bit more between Sander and Gutierrez Maximus, and I think it's Toro Ryux behind him in 4th position. As you can see, this accelerator, Sander is coming into the pit lane for another set of tires. So now it's Gutierrez behind me at 4 or 5 seconds, something like that. So accelerator will be coming out of the pit lane again on prime tires, which leads me to believe he will be slower than me. Then again, he'll have pressure tires and maybe he'll be able to push a bit harder. But during this stage I'm not too concerned about him getting the undercut and getting ahead of me, because I'll be on the fresher tires and the faster tires at the end of my stint. As you can see, there's a back marker in front of us. That's most likely somebody who went off track or had to make an extra pit stop or something like that, because we're only in lap 11. I was hoping to catch a bit of his slipstream on the straight, but it seems like I'm a bit too far off. And that car is moving aside. I think that was one of our newest drivers who joined in the league, but we weren't aware he was going to race. So I didn't mind. The more the merrier, I guess, but if there's a new driver and you don't know how he'll respond in certain situations, it might make it a bit tricky. So Glacier is almost 5 seconds behind me. That's quite a nice gap, and it seems like there's somebody. Yeah, no, that's just Glacier passing the back marker as well on the straight.
You're 5 seconds ahead of the car behind.
And then that's probably Napster following behind him after his pit stop. Oh, not Napster. I keep messing up the drivers today. I don't know why. Accelerator, of course. Our Dutch driver.
Your brakes are too cold. We need to get some heat into them. Brake hard in the next few corners.
So I know I had enough fuel at this stage. I was just checking up on my tires, and you can see the front left is getting the worst of it. The rear tires are still doing pretty okay. And I've still got 4 laps to go to my pit stop. And the tire wear was a bit higher than I would have imagined. But it's still manageable. I'm not spinning out yet. Well, spinning out isn't an exaggeration. I'm not having a lot of wheel spin, and I still feel like I have control of the car.
The car behind is dropping back around
Tricky corner, that one.
the lap.
Lap times, as usual, are most important right now. So Glacier is sticking around 5 seconds behind me. In the distance there's another back marker coming up. I love this turn. If you can nail it, if you know your braking point, and if you nail it, you can gain so much time in it. And accelerating is doing fastest times, fastest laps on prime tires, which, yeah, I was a bit amazed to see that. Which led me to believe he would maybe try to get the undercut and get back ahead of me. Probably running on rich fuel mode by now. Didn't bother me because, as I said before, I was okay with him getting out in front of me again. My main competitor right now is Glacier behind me, and that's who I have to keep an eye on. So 5.3 seconds to Glacier, still managing that gap really well, but the tires are degrading really fast. Look at the front left. That's a danger to my car. Bit lap times is what I'm keeping check on, so 0.25 seconds faster than the previous one. As soon as I see the lap times going down, or I feel like I'm no longer in perfect control of this car, this set of wheels, then I'll be coming in. 5.4 to Glacier. And lap time still doing quite okay. Maintaining the gap, keeping up the pace. So pretty focused right now, not making too many mistakes. Yeah, having to downshift in that corner because I saw I was going wide. Lost a bit of time there. Yeah, and that results on a bit off my pace, but it's just by a small margin. Let's see what my lap time is. So, still 7 thousandths down on my previous lap time, so the lap times are really close to each other. That's the way it should be. Seems like Lutez is trying to do the same thing because the gap is about the same, so I think he's also monitoring his lap times at this stage. I hear the car in front of me, so it should be close. Yeah, I can see him in the distance. Not sure who it is this time. And Accelerator is still doing a fastest lap. That's more than a second faster than me at this stage. So at this stage I'm pretty sure he'll be ahead of me at when he leaves the pit lane. I'm just not sure by which margin he'll be ahead of me. I was thinking it would be very, very close. Yeah, I felt like I was losing grip during those corners. Although I have to admit that my driving, my racing line wasn't exactly ideal, but I was feeling like the car. Just let's take a look at this corner. I'm missing my apex, so I feel like I'm losing grip. So I decided to go for the pit lane and switch to option tires because I didn't want to take a risk of spinning out, making a mistake or something like that, and hitting the grass. As I see Gutierrez behind me is coming in, which is bad news because I predicted when my pit stop would be done, he probably would be passing my car and my lollipop man wouldn't release me, and that is exactly what you'll see happening right now. So I'm already done. See that? Pit stop was done at around about 3 seconds, but I get held up by the lollipop man to prevent an unsafe release. So Gutierrez Maximus actually gains about a second or so during the pit stop. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but nothing I can do about it. So, and that's Accelerator. Look at that, Accelerator coming out of the pit lane, right next to me, managing to bring his car in front of mine, just, only barely. But I got DRS right now, and I got a better tires, although they're still cold. But yeah, I'm definitely faster. So I go ahead. I don't want to wait around and get held up by a car on the slower tire. So I push for the advantage right away and take back my position, which is actually a very good thing, you know. If I can cope with the pressure and stay in the lead, switching to Rich to create a gap between Sander and myself. If I can stay in the lead, then I'll have dealt with Accelerator. That sounds cruel, but it's not intentional. He'll be behind me with very little chance to come back at me unless I mess up, and Gutierrez will still have to pass him. So and now there's another advantage to me. I'm a bit in the slipstream of the car ahead. It's just one of the back markers. Switching back to standard test right now because that gap between myself and Sander is now second and a half or so. So now what I'm hoping for is Accelerator fighting off Gutierrez Maximus really hard. I mean, I have a nice gap between myself and the car in second position, but it's a new driver, and I'm not sure what times he's able to put down. I was warned he's very fast, so I'm not sure if he's actually driving conservatively right now, trying to push during the last part of the race, or if he's really pushing hard to catch me. So I can't quite settle down and just ride it out at this moment. I still have to be very aware of what the car behind me is doing. I have a lot more grip right now, and you can definitely tell as you see me cutting a bit of the grass on the previous corner, not intentionally, just because I didn't expect to have that amount of grip. Of course, these fresh option tires all warmed up right now are giving me premium grip, doing a fastest sector time as you can see right there. So Accelerator is 2.6 seconds behind me, and Gutierrez is almost on his gearbox. So I'm guessing next DRS zone he'll be able to easily pass Sander. Let's see if this will be a fastest time. Yep, 1:33.9. But as you can see, Gutierrez is doing even better, probably because he's got the slipstream of Accelerator. 1:33.6, and it seems like he's past Accelerator, so yeah, now it's a one-on-one fight again. with 3 seconds between us. .4 actually. So even though I'm doing a bit faster than previous lap, Gutierrez manages to buy the way 0.6 seconds of the gap between us. That's a lot, which is a bit unsettling for me. I'm still on the standard fuel mode. Don't feel the need to push really hard right now, but if he keeps on closing like that, I don't want him to get closer than 2 seconds, to be honest. 2 seconds is still okay. That's a nice gap. You don't get a slipstream at 2 seconds. You definitely don't get DRS. So I want to keep Gutierrez Maximus above 2 seconds. So I was waiting the time difference, and there you can see it, 2.091 seconds, and that's just too close for me. So I switched to the rich fuel mode. I have plus 4 laps of fuel remaining, and we're in lap 18, so that's 8 more laps to go. I'm just hoping I have plenty of fuel to keep driving on rich fuel mode long enough, because if Gutierrez Maximus for some reason has managed to save more fuel than I did, then I'm in big trouble. So it definitely has an effect. Going to rich fuel mode, pulling away a bit again, 2.358. But he does another fastest lap, 1:33.912 to my 1:33.490. So that's half a second a lap faster. But I only switched to the rich fuel mode during the last part of previous lap, so I should be faster than right now. Yeah, not a fastest sector time, but still almost a third of a second up to my previous time. And you should really keep an eye on the gap between myself and Gutierrez. It's really amazing. It actually sticks. It moves a bit with a few hundredths of a second, but that's about it. So. Yeah, as soon as you start using the rear view too much, that's a bad sign. It means you're under pressure. I generally try and avoid using the rear view unless I really have to, because the car is too close and I want to see which racing line he's taking. But this, I was feeling the pressure at this stage. I'll have to admit, 1.8, so it's definitely closer. I managed to managed to lower my best time, but I think he's still faster than me. Yeah, 1:32.4, so again, almost half a second faster than me. I don't know why he isn't on my gearbox already. The amount of fuel I have, plus 3 laps, as I set the fastest first sector time for the first time during this race. Really early on the acceleration, on the throttle there. I'm taking risks right now. I know I won't be able to keep up this gap if I'm not taking risks. So again, on the grass, that's not what I wanted to do, because that actually will lose me time. I think Gutierrez behind me is also taking risks at this part of the race. If you want to go for the win, we've got plenty of time between us and the cars behind, so it's either position 1 or position 2 at this stage. Second fastest sector time as well. But still not the fastest lap time, 1:32.4. I think our lap times are now maybe a few hundreds of seconds apart from each other. Seems like we're very closely matched. The gap is remaining at just over 2 seconds. I'm not comfortable switching down to standard fuel mode just yet. I want to wait it out and see if he runs out of fuel. Improve my first sector time once more, doing another purple sector time. Running a bit wide in that turn, but that's also a valid racing line. You'll see Jensen Button uses that racing line a lot at Silverstone. Oh no, I believe it was Mark Webber. So you won't be seeing him doing that anymore, at least not in Formula 1 cars. He takes a different racing line than the other drivers. Goes a bit wide, but allows him to go on the throttle a bit earlier. Really pushing it right now. Still just a bit up on my previous lap time. The gap has increased a little bit to Gutierrez, but it's not too much. I still think he's running on rich fuel mode. Tricky turn that one as well. Easy to spin out if you're too soon on the throttle. Yeah, fastest sector time finally, 1:32. Fastest lap time actually, 1:32.410. And there you have it. First time during this race. No, not first time. I did have a fast lap time, 1:02 during the first few laps, but those don't really count in my opinion. Fastest lap time for the first time in this race where it actually matters. It shouldn't influence your driving that much, but when you see the car behind you or the car in front of you posting fastest lap times, that really does have an influence. As Gutierrez Maximus falls back to 3.1 seconds, so now I'm sure he has switched to the standard fuel mode again. I'm getting a bit of the slipstream of the car in front, but seems like he has some connection issues. He's jumping back and forth a bit, so don't want to get too close to him. Let's see how high they are, how large the gap is. Still running on rich fuel mode, because I'm still not sure if it's just trying to lull me a bit or make me settle in a bit and then go back to rich fuel mode. That's sometimes what I do. If I notice that I'm not really gaining on the car in front, I switch back to a lower fuel mode, allow the gap to increase a bit so the car in front is more comfortable. And then after a lap or two I switch back to a higher fuel mode to put on the pressure again. And once the car in front notices you're faster than him again, then he can get nervous and make mistakes again. So might be the tactics that Yes Maximus is using right now. Oh, absolutely nailed it during that corner. And then I messed it up again during that one. So yeah. I think I didn't gain actually anything out of it from that set of corners. No, but I'm doing good fuel wise, so I've done a few laps and still plus 2 laps remaining, and you can squeeze usually 1 extra lap out of it. If you're on optimal, you can continue driving on rich fuel mode for about a lap before you have to switch back to standard. So and there's still 3 laps to go after this one. So it seems like I'll be able to keep driving on rich fuel mode to the end of the race, which is actually good. That's the extra bit of fuel I saved when driving behind accelerator and switching back to lean fuel mode. The extra bit of fuel I saved then is probably what's keeping me ahead right now. But this definitely would have been a different race if Gutierrez didn't spin out and I didn't hit him. If he kept on fighting it, I think it would have been very close. Would have liked that, to be honest. There's this kind of racing where you're actually racing against the clock, trying to maintain the gap. And then there's the close wheel-to-wheel racing where you both lose heaps of time, but it's fun as well. Still having lots of grip on these tires, although we're coming to the last part of the race. As I lap Ryox, which surprised me at that moment because he was running in 4th at some point during the race. I thought he was doing fine, my teammate. Would be able to grab some points, but seems like now he's running a bit in the back of the field. So probably a bad race for him. The gap to Gutierrez Maximus to 3.4 seconds. That's a bit more comfortable, but it's only one wheel spin, 1 small mistake away from overtaking you, so again, that's not what I wanted to do during that turn. You don't gain any time from cutting a corner, trust me. If not, you lose time out of it. If you can actually nail that corner and get that apex just right, and you get so much more speed during that corner. And maybe it will show during the lap difference. No, still going up 4 seconds. So maybe the car behind me is having some fuel issues. That's always a possibility. Maybe he had to push really hard to get past accelerator, having to switch to a rich fuel mode a bit earlier than I had. So if he's back to standard fuel mode and he can't bring it up to rich anymore, then things are looking good for me.
Looks like this is going to be your finishing position, so let's make sure to keep it clean.
Yep, 4.3 seconds. Just a bit more once again. As my race engineer assures me, this is probably my finishing position. During the race I wasn't sure the penalty, the 10-second time penalty would actually be, I'd be getting rid of it. So if you keep keeping the penalty in place, then Gutierrez is the virtual race leader right now. He only has to maintain a 10-second gap to me in order to win the race. But if he actually was convinced that I caused the spin out, then he probably was guessing to himself that he would take first position. The race engineer usually tells you when the car in front of you has a penalty. So maybe that's why he fell back a bit and didn't bother too much. But I'm sure after he has watched this video, he'll agree that nothing's happened intentionally, and that there definitely wasn't any contact before he spun out. So still, I wish we would have avoided that accident and we would have continued on racing each other. That would be would have been a lot of fun, I think. The gap is staying up at 4.5 seconds. That's me checking if I'm still on rich fuel mode, because I see the end of the race coming nearer and I'm still on +1 fuel. And just as I say that, of course, the fuel gauge switches back to optimal. But as I said, we're doing the last lap and you can do an extra lap on rich fuel mode. So let's see what the difference is when we go to the end of the final first sector. Seems like Napster is seems like Accelerator has lost his third position to Napster during this last lap. So the gap to Gutierrez is 5.6 seconds. Yeah, he's definitely falling back right now. So I'm pretty confident. I don't have to. I can relax a bit. Don't have to push that hard anymore during this final turn. It's more important not to make mistakes. See, that's how you want to take that corner. You can go on the throttle very early. Yeah. So pretty good race on my part, if I do say so myself. I don't think I had too much wheel spin. I didn't even notice it once during this race commentary. Definitely didn't spin out. So no problems with back markers. Some good overtaking, I think. So after all, other than the incident at the start of during lap 2 with Gutierrez, pretty good race for me as I take down the race win, or at least the first position. You'll see the 10-second penalty, and as Gutierrez Maximus crosses the finishing line, he'll take that away, that first position from me. Napster behind is more than 10 seconds away from me, so I won't have to worry about him. We'll see him during the last sector of the race. Accelerator is not too far behind him, so that would have been a close call for Napster to take away the last podium position. Yeah, and I suppose Sandra has managed to finish as well. Sorry about that. Oh, seems like someone has gone off track. Just switching through the drivers to see how they're doing. Pixels seems to have had a bad race as well, because he started, I think, on 2nd or 3rd, not really sure, but and he had a really good first lap, so it seems to have fallen back a bit to 8th position. He's in position 8, and there's a car behind him, which I think is our, I don't know where it's from, Sweden, I think. Anyway, here's the times. And look at that, look at the time difference between Glitier's Maximus and myself. 132, 484, 132, 410. So I take away the fastest lap time, but it's only by the smallest margin possible. Take a look at that. The other cars are very fast as well. There's 3 more cars in the 133s. Then one more in 34, and then a few 2 cars in 135, and then our new driver who is lacking a bit of pace right now. 138, almost 139, but very fast driving on everyone's behalf. Very close race, I think. As I've been told, there were a few race incidents which have to be reviewed.
End up in polio. Yeah.
People discussing the race a bit. So that's it for this time, guys. Next race I think is at Spa, which will be my home race. It's an amazing track, by the way. If you have a chance to go to Spa in your lifetime, please do so.
I could be more faster, but,
I'm gonna cut the recording right here, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, racing the race and doing the commentary. And I'll be seeing and or racing you again this week, probably. See ya.